The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us live and around the world on the Mutual Broadcast Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, the IPBN Radio Network, and Talkstar Radio Network. If you'd like to send us an email, it's very simple, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. Yes, that's X Zone Radio TV. And our radio website, where you can find out what we've been up to, what we're doing today, and where we're going in the future. And I'm not a psychic or a remote viewer, but I can only tell by the past where we are in the present, where we're going to be in the future, at www.xzoneradio.com. And don't forget, my good friend, Jeremy Scott, follows me tonight, as he does Monday through Friday, on Dark 30. Great guy, great show. I always have fun whenever I get the opportunity of chatting with him. And by the way, did you know that when you're on the road now with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can listen to the X Zone and Jeremy on Dark 30 and every minute of the Mutual Broadcast Network by dialing 605-562-4204, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone app or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. All you need to do is call 605-562-4204 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. My guest this hour, a man with an amazing story. His name is Charles Stansburge, but we all call him Chuck because he's our buddy. He's a MUFON State Section 6 director, STAR team member, CAG member, and field investigator. And Chuck, what is a STAR team member?
Well, the STAR team member for MUFON is someone that goes out to, when there's mutilations, landings, and that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. We had, it was October 2013, we had a mutilation going on down there, southwest of here, and it was Barbados sheep. And if you always knew about cattle mutilations, they have a little slit up in towards their throat, mm-hmm. where they drain all the blood out.
Right.
These sheep had the same identical thing.
Is this the case in Port Lavaca, Texas?
Yeah, Port Lavaca.
Right.
Yeah. And it was quite something. We were down there for 2 days covering this. Everybody's trying to say that it was predators, but I don't think predators can have. I don't think predators have tools to do surgery.
Is it possible that it's our own terrestrial military and government who are going out and doing something to test the genetics or to test the certain effects that fertilizers and other GMO products are having on livestock on the open range?
No. This particular time, all the photos, mm-hmm. because when I went down there, excuse me, I went and talked to the sheriff.
Right.
Also, I asked him if I could get all the photos pertaining mm-hmm. to the event, and also all the paperwork going back and forth when he would report, and then they would go out and do their thing and come back and report what's going on. So he got all that for me. and I was going through. They gave me a DVD of the photos, and I was going through the photos. And number 345, I took a look at that, and I thought something's weird about this. So I got a hold of my friend on Skype. I said, I'm gonna show you something. So I showed him the photo, and he goes, "Oh yeah." He says, "Matter of fact," he says, "take a look a little bit closer if you want to." The night before, there was one heck of a thunderstorm, so
Right.
everything was wet and muddy and everything. You can see the tracks where this gentleman has his little putt-putt, and it stops right by a tree. You have the sheep laying here, mutilated, and then you have the tracks going past that, and then there's a big area that is there's no trees. It's just a bare spot. And I looked at that. He says, "What do you see?" And I thought, "Oh my gosh!" I says, "That is in a circle," and it looks like it's counterclockwise. He says, "Yep." He says, "Matter of fact, they're still there." I said, "What do you mean they're still there?" In the photo.
Welcome back, everyone. Our guest this hour is Charles Chuck Stansburge. And we're talking to Chuck about, amongst other things, his position as a gunnery officer aboard a battleship that is so big that it's actually moored on the other side of Pluto so that telescopes from Earth cannot see it. It houses up to 500,000 souls of every race, every species. Wow. And Chuck, before we get back to your ET visit, because I want to talk to you about some other parts of the visit, didn't the sheriff in this case, going back to the the sheep mutilation, actually believe it to be a satanic cult ritual?
They tried to say that was, but there was none of those outfits nearby anywhere. They tried to say just about everything and anything to make sure that it wasn't a UFO. But
weren't there other animals? weren't there other animals that were missing as well? That the amount of animals that were missing or that were mutilated had increased over a period of time?
Yeah, this gentleman had 52 sheep to begin with because a friend gave him a bunch of them because he had he couldn't do anything anymore. He was pretty well down where he can't keep the sheep. But anyway, he sold about 20 of them or so, and the rest of them he would come out, and there would be the next morning, and there would be a couple of them mutilated, and then one or two that are gone, just flat disappeared.
But why was it reported in the newspaper that your findings were confidential, that you didn't release your findings to the sheriff's office or to anyone else?
Well, because we were, like I said, doing an ongoing investigation, and once I left the scene, more or less, because we were there for 2 days.
Yeah.
Our state director stayed there for another day, and she wrote up her report, which would be the secondary report, and mine was the major report. And I didn't put it in as a predator because it wasn't a predator. Predator don't know how to cut open a belly and just take the they would cut around and then fold the belly back, the skin back, and pull the belly out, lay it down, and take the reproductive organs, and that was it.
Yeah, but the sheriff never even suggested that it wasn't anything other than terrestrial, because this is a quote from Calhoun County Sheriff Ailman, believes a human is behind. I believe a human is behind the killings.
Well, that's his prerogative, I guess, that what he thinks it was. Um, but when I saw what I saw on the film,
Yeah.
I knew who done it.
Okay, now here
Yeah.
you are, a guy who's been on board Battlestar ships. You're a gunnery officer. You have 7 people in your team. You go on galactic tour of duties around 4 times a month. Isn't there any way that you can use your pull, so to speak, to end all these mysteries? To say that, well, if Sarek and his Battlestar are protecting the galaxy and protecting us from the bad guys, the bad aliens, how are these bad aliens coming down and doing the cattle mutilation? And if it's not the bad aliens, that only leaves Sarek and crew doing this mutilation. And
Well,
if they're
they're
doing
not doing
if they are doing the mutilation, it doesn't seem like they're as good as you're painting them out to be.
What they do now, the vegans are reptilian,
Uh-huh.
and they're meat eaters. So if they want to take a cow up, there's nothing left of it, probably just the bones. But
If they're meat
they
eaters,
don't do anything like that. What's doing it is the little helpers, you might say. They're probably 4 foot. Some of them are 5 foot, and they do their thing as far as I'm assuming that what they need the reproductive organs for is to clone more sheep, and that way they have their own stuff somewhere else.
why wouldn't they just take sheep and keep them on board once they've got the necessary samples or tissues that they need to do the cloning? Eat the rest of the animal. Why put it back to Earth? That makes no sense.
Well, it never left Earth. They were right there on the ground. The ship was laying there evidently because it was a counterclockwise space there.
Right.
And on the right hand side of the film, there's a like a distortion per se on by the trees back there, and what that was is a doorway, either onto board their ship or maybe going from Earth to where their ship is. I don't know, but
But why would they need to take everything? You know, if we want to extract DNA, we don't have to rip a person apart.
true.
There's ways that we can extract DNA, you know, without killing. This is something that doesn't make sense. If it's just for the DNA they're after, they could do it in other ways where they wouldn't leave this trace evidence of something being wrong. So,
I agree with you there because I took a look at a lot of the different areas where the sheep were mutilated, and I scratch in my head like, why? Why did they do what they did when they could just take the whole thing?
or just take a tooth,
Yeah,
you know, or just take a bone marrow sample. You know, this, you know, and they can do the same thing with the cattle. They can do the same thing with the horses. And this leads me to another question. Are the amount of people that are disappearing from this planet actually being abducted and not brought back, that they are being kept somewhere against their will by some nefarious group of extraterrestrials and are being used for breeding stock?
not that I know of. On Sarek's ship, there are a little over 200 humans, and they are up there on their own accord because they don't want to come back down to Earth.
Right.
A lot of them don't have families. You know, if you think about it, all the missing
Right.
people in this world, I can tell you where a lot of them are.
Where?
Because I've seen a lot of them up there on the ship,
Where?
and they're just happy.
So they're being abducted or they're going willingly?
willingly.
So why don't they leave a note? Why all the secrecy? Why all the, people talk about the government having ulterior motives and doing black ops. It doesn't seem that the extraterrestrials are any different than the problems we're facing here on this planet.
It's about, well, might be pretty close to it, but they don't interfere with whatever takes place here on Earth, like the wars and stuff like that, because they're not allowed to by the Galactic Alliance. They tell them, you do not interfere with any of the worlds around here. Just leave them be. If they want to kill each other off, then fine.
That doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't seem right, but I agree with you there, because I've asked them. I said, how come you guys don't go in here and say, okay, to one of these certain countries, I ain't going to say any, but these certain countries that's doing all this stuff, why don't you take care of these bad guys? We're not allowed to. And that's what I get.
They're not allowed. But they're allowed to kill livestock. They're allowed to abduct people. They're allowed to protect us from other alien beings.
Entities, yeah.
But they won't protect us against ourselves. So what are they protecting us against, and why are they protecting us if they're not going to do a damn thing about what's going on here?
Well, they tried. Like I said, that they had went to all the different countries and to their leaders, and even the president of the United States said, "I don't want to hear it," because this is what's going on. We got to take care of our business, and we got to take care of our people here, and make sure that none of them get killed from people from overseas and this and that. And they just tried to get everybody together and say, look, you are a one species, and it's the human species, the human beings. So why don't you all stay together and be nice, and why worry about different countries and stuff and ground? You want to take this place, take that place. Why? I don't understand that myself either.
All right, so looking at the big picture, Charles, something doesn't make sense here. It's not adding up, because if they are here and if they are supposed to protect us, if they have the ability to share a peaceful solution that would solve the problems of this planet, feed the sick, feed the hungry, heal the sick, make this a better world, wouldn't they benefit by this as well?
They probably would, but like I said, they can't interfere on Earth of what's going on.
So
I wish they could. I wish they would. I wish they could. But I keep talking to them about it, but they say we can't do it.
And yet, they will stop another species from coming to our planet. What happens if the other species would treat us better, or that the other species would be much more conducive to communicating with planet Earth and its leaders? They could be stopping progress.
There's a few of them that want to try to do that. As far as I don't know what you mean by.
All right, Chuck, we're going to be back on the other side of this news break. Exo Nation, send me an email. Tell me what you think. Exxon at exxonradiotv.com. Chuck and I will return on the other side of this news break as we continue here and around the world from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Mutual Broadcast Network, Exxon Broadcast Network, and the IPBN. Welcome back, everyone. This is an interesting story. Charles Stansburge is our special guest, and he is a MUFON State Section 6 director. He is a STAR team member, CAG member, and field investigator. He is also a gunnery officer aboard an extraterrestrial battleship that houses about 5,000 people, souls from all over the galaxy and the beyond. Charles, tell us about your family, your other family on the other side of the galaxy.
Well, I've gone to several different planets in our galaxy. And there was probably two of them, I think, were being overrun by naughty ETs. And we went in there to make sure that they didn't do anything else. We got rid of them, and they ran, and we, of course, we destroyed a few of their ships. But other than that, they took off like, wow, we don't need to be here. But also, I would go to one planet. It's about maybe about 250 light years away, that's in here in our galaxy, and it's a beautiful planet. And I got to know the people there, and the first time I saw it, it kind of startled me in a sense, 'cause like, how'd I get here, you know? Because next thing I knew, I was standing on this grass. It was like a grass. And there's a tree sitting over here, and I looked up, and here comes a ship. And it lands, a small ship, and it lands. And 2 or 3 people got off, or beings got off. And I looked over at that craft, and I went, wow. And they were walking towards this big building. It was solid white building. And I heard one of them saying, "Hey, are you coming?" So I went down there, and we went around through the building on the other side and went out the back door. And there's a path that goes to waterfalls. And it's a beautiful place. But what they did was they wanted me there a couple of times. And they went ahead and took my DNA. And I don't know how they impregnate their women, but evidently they do it somehow. And I do have a hybrid daughter, and she's a pretty little thing. And it was quite something when I found out about it, because when we went back over there one time, this was like 2 years ago. When we went over there, they said, "We got a surprise for you." Okay. And we got out of the ship, started walking towards there, and then this tall gray, for a gray alien, she's not bad looking. She's about 8 foot tall. And this little girl was walking with her. And I said, "Oh, she's cute. She's really cute. Whose is she?" And all 3 of them said, "Yours." And I said, "Excuse me?" They said, "She is your daughter. We used your DNA, and she is your daughter." So I have a daughter living on another planet.
Do you interact with your daughter? Do you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Once in a while, they bring her to the ship, and we interact, and she plays with some of the toys I brought on board from Earth. So she knows what Earth looks like, and she knows what Earth, basically what we do there, and so on. So once in a while, I'll go there to the planet, and I'll stay there for probably 2 or 3 days. But it's only a couple hours,
Right.
really, because when they bring me back in the same time frame.
So do you have a picture of your daughter?
No,
Do you keep one in your wallet?
they won't allow me to take a picture.
Really?
Yeah.
I
want to, but
I
tried.
your story sounds so compelling. What do your other members of MUFON say about your intergalactic travels and the fact that one of their section directors are on a Battlestar as a gunnery officer?
Well, let's put it this way. Everybody in my section, which I have about 50 people, including myself, everybody knows that I do this, because once in a while we will have a meeting, and I'll say, "What do you guys want to do for the meeting?" And they'll say, "We want to hear more of your stories. We want to hear more of what you do up there." So they get kind of excited about wanting to know what's going on and what I see, this kind of stuff. And it's MUFON. They know, especially our DOI. He's the director of investigations for MUFON all over the world. He knows that I do that. And as a matter of fact, I even had him at one of our meetings with Sarek.
Right.
And I says, I told Steve, I said, go ahead and ask him. He's asking what? I said, well, you said you wanted to go up there. Ask him if you can go. And so he did. And I got a private text from Sarek, and it said, "Do you trust him?" And I said, "Yes, I do very much. He's a darn good guy." And so he said, "Okay, we'll see what we can do." And about 2 or 3 weeks later, I asked Steve if he ever went up, and he says, "I don't know." He says, I didn't feel anything or see anything or whatever." And I said, "Well, I can guarantee you were there." He says, "How do you know?" I says, "Because I was standing beside you."
Okay, here's a question. Here's a question for you. You, as a director of MUFON, are responsible for your investigator team that we just believe you said it was about 50 people.
Yeah.
You have
there's only about 3 of us that are field investigators.
Okay. All right. So, but you have been up in a starship. You are on active duty as a gunnery officer on a starship. So why do these investigations need to take place if, number one, these are real UFO landings, abductions, and sightings that are being reported to MUFON? And number two, how are they getting past these people who are supposed to be protecting us?
That part's a good question.
Yeah, like it makes no sense, Charles. Like you're a former cop.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to you? Does the investigation line make sense?
Excuse me. Yes, because we have to ask certain questions when somebody reports a UFO.
No. I'm not asking you to. I understand when you're talking to somebody about a sighting, but you yourself, having had these experiences, having a daughter that is a hybrid somewhere on the other side of the galaxy, you being a gunnery officer and who said you fired a pulse weapon that wiped out a spaceship, why is there a need for UFO investigations if you have all the answers?
That is a good question. The answers I have are from what I do and what I see. I don't see what other people see, and I don't know if anybody else is being abducted. I know I've done a few cases, but as far as their situation, they say, okay, yeah, this is what I saw, and this is what I saw,
right,
and this is what I was told by them, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to investigations, that's what I have to do, is I have to ask questions.
Yeah, I understand that, but whose craft are you investigating? Because you told us that Sarek and the Alliance are protecting us from the bad guys. Then if
Well, that I don't know.
haven't you
Because
asked?
there are orange orbs, there are red ones.
No, no,
Some
no.
of
But
them,
but haven't you
turn red
asked?
and white.
Haven't you asked Sarek who these UFO sightings are that people are reporting? Who are doing the landings? Because if they're not the good guys, how are the bad guys getting past this Galactic Alliance patrol?
Well, those guys, those orbs per se, a lot of them are, I guess it belongs to the Galactic Alliance because they have drones as well, and they go around. Sometimes they will hover, sit for a little bit, and take off.
Right?
Especially if people see it and they'll start taking pictures, it'll take off. But a lot of those, I think, are drones from their crafts to monitor Earth as far as what's going on.
Okay, but wouldn't Sarek be able to tell you that if you communicated with him and you said, all right, I've received a UFO report on such and such a date, such and such a time, such and such a coordinates, is this one of yours? And if he says yes, fine. But if he says no, then we have to ask ourselves, is the Galactic Alliance really doing what they're saying they're doing, or is there a nefarious purpose at play?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Have you ever asked?
I've never asked.
Why not?
I've never asked because I'm on board ship and I don't think about that. Now that you got me going on it, I will probably next time I go up there, I'll ask him.
Yeah, and when you're on board ship, do you wear a uniform?
Not really.
No?
Most of the time, it's just what I got on. Sometimes they will hand me a uniform,
Yeah.
and I say, no, I don't want to wear it. You know.
Do you shower? Do you sleep in a hammock, in a bed? Do you sleep?
Yeah. If I'm there for 2 or 3 days, yeah. We have quarters that we sleep in bed.
Yeah.
We shower, and they have everything for us.
How about a sick bay? Do they have a sick bay?
Yep.
So if we're looking at a comparison between the Starship Enterprise and I really can't believe you don't know the name of the starship you're on, but anyway, and
I can't either.
let's call it the SS Chuck for now. The USS Chuck.
Okay.
All right. If we were to compare the USS Chuck to the USS Enterprise, would we be looking at about the same thing?
Not quite.
No.
It's kind of hard to describe. It's bigger than what the Enterprise is. What
Have
you
you-
see on TV?
Have you ever drawn any pictures?
No,
Why not?
because I never thought about it. Some of the stuff that I try to think about what I saw, I try to start drawing it, and it just doesn't come out right.
Because here you are, a seasoned police officer, a seasoned investigator. And as a police officer, what are the first things we're taught to do at a crime scene? Sketch.
Make sure that the crime scene is
Secure,
not compromised.
right? And crime
we take pictures,
right?
and so on and so forth.
Yeah. You're an investigator with MUFON.
I get a lot of photos.
Of what's on the starship?
No, of what's on People Say.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
Not
Yeah,
not
I'm not
Sarah's.
I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about you. The USS
Well, he won't
Chuck.
allow me. He won't allow me to take pictures.
Why not?
They won't allow.
If he wants,
us
if
to
he
take
doesn't
pictures
mind
of
you,
it.
if he doesn't mind you coming on radio shows, if he wants you to talk about them, don't you find that a little strange that he doesn't want you to show pictures of where you are, what you do? Because the next question is, how do we know you're telling us the truth? And not just making
Because
this
I've
up.
been there. That's the reason why I know the truth. Here's the thing. When I found out that I was probably taken, and I never said another word about it, I've always wanted to go on board ship. I've always stood outside saying, "Hey, come on down here. I want to drive one of your craft or get
Right.
into one and go somewhere, do something. And a little over 4 years ago, I got that chance. And I've been going up there for several times now, since then. And I really enjoy it. And I get to get some pieces of what I see. And then what I do is start putting two and two together. I can kind of figure out where I was and what I was doing.
All right. So, hope you don't take my next question the wrong way. But how do we know that this just isn't a post-hypnotic suggestion that has been given to you by the hypnotist, who snaps his fingers twice for you to either enter or to exit one of the post-hypnotic suggestions that you were given?
No, he didn't use any snapping fingers or anything like that. He just was using a chain,
I
more
see.
or less. And he brought me out of it, and that's when I found out about what took place when I was coming down the hill from the lake.
Is it possible that your first abduction actually happened in 1965 in Colorado, and that you were taken that time by Sarek?
It's a good possibility, or somebody else. I'm not sure. I have asked a couple of different beings while I was up there if they knew back in 1965 when I was young, a senior in high school, what was there something that was going on? Did they take me? And most of them, two or three of them, would just say, well, we can't talk.
All right,
about
Chuck,
that.
I've got to take my final break. Please stand by. Exonation. Charles Chuck Stansburge is our special guest, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Hey, welcome back, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking all my guests tonight. Robert Favreau. In hour number 1, we talked about controlled remote viewing. Hour number 2, my good friend, a great Canadian musician, a very talented person, Ed Roman, was talking to us about his new album called, let me see, Craig, what's it called? Oh, right, Red Omen. Geez, it's going to be released tomorrow. Please visit his website, www.edroman.com. And for the last 2 hours, wrapping me up this hour, yeah, I'm going to feel like a Christmas party, is Charles Stansburge. And first of all, Charles, thank you so much for coming on the show. Always great talking to you. Listen.
You're more than welcome, and thank you.
I really want to believe, but I'm the kind of guy who needs proof. I'm sure that you come across people who you talk to and you tell this wonderful story to, just like the fellow members of your MUFON chapter, who are taken by it, that they and other people want there to be another life force out there so that we're not alone and that we have sort of like a big brother watching over us. You've been on the Starship. You've seen the daughter that is part of you through artificial insemination of an extraterrestrial type. You've gone zipping through the cosmos in this battleship. You know, and you believe 150 million% that it is real.
Yes.
How can we
Very
believe
much
it?
so.
How can we believe it?
Well, the only way you can really believe it is if you experience it. I know that there are a lot of people, especially some of the ones I know that are contactees and such, have seen ETs, have seen craft, have been in them. We have one young lady that's with MUFON. She was a field investigator, and her crew, they went to a field. The gentleman that owned the place, he took them out on where the field is, and he said, "See, I told you." And he looked up. Here comes a triangle craft over their heads. They just all looked at it, and it disappeared behind the trees.
Did any of the field investigators take a photo?
I don't think so.
Why?
They just, yeah,
Why?
that's what I say. What?
Why do we
But-
get all these fantastic stories and never any proof?
Well, there are a lot of proof of people taking photos and videos. Some of the crap that I've seen was amazing. Some of the photos I've got pretty close. Well, I've got over 600 cases done, and
Out of those,
some of the ones I've got with videos are just unbelievable.
all right, but how many of those 600 cases are actually UFOs from another planet?
I would say probably about 75%.
Then how come there's no proof anywhere besides the proof that is taken photographically? How come?
Good question. I know for a fact that a lot of the governments have seen them. Their presidents or whoever they are.
Chuck, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight, spending 2 hours with me. It is greatly appreciated. And tell Sarek that I would love to have the opportunity of meeting him one-on-one.
Okay.
All right,
I'll do
Chuck, take care of yourself, my friend. Regards to you and the family, and family on this side of the universe as well as the other.
Okay, thank you.
Good
very
night,
much.
Charles. Exo Nation, I'll be back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. So until then, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.